What if building muscle wasn't about looking fit, but about staying alive, staying sharp, and staying you? This week, we're flipping the script on strength. This is about why muscle matters for your brain, your blood sugar, your immune system, and your future. Welcome to Build for Health, the show that redefines strength because muscle isn't just for looks. I'm Pete Wright, here with Coach Srdjan Injac.
Hello.
Hello. Today we are building a body that is built to last. What is the big idea? Why are we doing this show? Let's talk a little bit about you. What makes you do what you do? When did you first realize that muscle mattered more than just looks?
You start feeling a lot better, first of all. You start feeling a lot stronger. You start noticing a lot more difference when you start gaining muscle.
Yeah.
You feel better, you look better. Of course, it all looks, but it's not about that. You feel stronger. And then you start realizing that you're actually healthier. You start seeing all the other benefits that come with that. Because usually when we start building muscle, we think about the looks first. But then as you start gaining muscle, then you start noticing all the other different benefits that muscle actually has. It's definitely important. Then you start kind of digging more into it and you realize the benefits of the muscle mass.
Stats. How long have you been training personally?
I've been doing this for a little over 18 years now.
Okay. Training just yourself or training other people?
Well, training other people.
Okay. How long have you been training for yourself?
I started training myself since I was 17.
Okay.
That's when I started going to the gym and started building muscle. It's just that I didn't really know much about it. But then since, the last 18 years that I've been training other people.
And I should say, but in terms of disclosure, you train me, which is hard work. There is a lot that goes, I'm very needy because I'm just a poor dumb country podcaster. And you help me just start to feel stronger every time I come in. So that's the table setting. That's where we are. You do this, you run this podcast comes out of Elevate Fitness here in Hillsboro, Oregon. And we're very excited to start looking at muscle and what it means from a different perspective than just getting shredded. These are what we hope to be the real reasons behind building strength beyond the mirror.
Exactly. I mean, the first thing that I do with every single one of my clients, even you, when I talk to my clients, I want to make sure that once my clients prioritize skeletal muscle as an organ, they gain the whole new sense of wellness. Right?
Yes.
So I talk to them first about the importance of resistance training. Everyone is focused on kind of external issue with obesity because they can see it. But we actually have a pandemic of poor muscle mass. People don't realize it because in medicine also and in society, we've been telling people to lose weight and focusing on fat. And we've got the whole narrative all wrong because obesity is a disease of the muscle.
That's the thing. You've said that before, and I'm not entirely clear on what that means. What does it mean obesity is a disease of the muscle? It does not present that way.
Yeah, because it's really, I would rather have more fat than less muscle because of the function of the muscle, how it regulates everything. It's you realize that muscle is your body's medicine, is your metabolic sink, it's your body's armor. It's the organ of longevity. There are so many more benefits of the muscle mass. Once you focus on that, everything else kind of comes with it. Then you start burning more calories because the more muscle you have, now your metabolism is faster, and you start losing fat. But the whole importance behind the muscle, once people realize how important resistance training actually is, because everyone will start focusing on cardio when they want to lose fat. They don't realize that by doing that, they can also burn a lot of muscle. People would lose weight, definitely, but they lose a lot of muscle mass. So they'll get smaller, they'll get skinnier, and they'll feel and think that they're healthier, but they're not. That's what we call skinny fat. But we'll talk about that next time.
That's okay. That's coming. So right. So these are the myths, right? That you know, I don't want to get bulky. Muscle is just for bodybuilders, right? I can do it. I can get healthy and lose weight by just dieting alone.
Exactly. So they don't really look at the resistance training, they think that's just for the bodybuilders. I don't want to build muscle because I'm going to look too big. I'm like, well, first of all, you're not, and that's not the reason why you're building muscle. Right? There's so many other benefits. I mean, it's a blood sugar control and diabetes prevention, and when we talk about cholesterol management and blood pressure regulation, and improves the blood circulation and enhances the insulin sensitivity and all these other things. There's so many other benefits. So it's not just about the looks.
Can I ask I got a sidebar question for you about that. When people say, I don't want to get bulky, it feels like every time I've heard that come up, you laugh a little bit and you say, okay, you're not. I feel like we need to unpack that a little bit, because there is an assumption that if I just start working out, that I'm going to turn into a monster. If I work too hard, right, I'll turn into a monster. But that's not quite what happens, right? Like at my pace, let's say, I'm in no danger of turning into a monster, right?
Well, everyone can gain muscle. Everyone can, get that look if they're really that dedicated. I mean,
but that's what I mean. What does it mean to be dedicated to the point where you'll get too bulky?
I mean, it takes so much dedication to not just the lifting weights, but nutrition as well. I don't like calling it diet, because I don't think that, healthy eating should be called diet. Usually when I start eating, and, when I tell people I don't really eat pizza or cheeseburgers, or like, I don't want those French fries, and all of a sudden they're thinking, oh, are you on a diet? I'm like, no, just because I'm eating healthy doesn't mean I'm on
I just
diet.
Make better choices, right?
Exactly. Healthier choices. So, I mean, it takes a lot of dedication too, and patience actually too, which a lot of people don't have, and kind of sticking to the same routine regime when it comes to working out constantly and being consistent with your nutrition as well. And it takes not just weeks and months, it takes years. It's a whole lifestyle change. I mean, for me, this is my lifestyle. I eat, talk, breathe, fitness. Everything is about fitness. So even when I eat, I tell people I don't really eat for pleasure. I eat for the results. A lot of people struggle with a lot of stuff. So I'm like, if you can really be that dedicated, then you might get that look of the bodybuilder and gain some muscle. It's possible, but it's very hard.
But just showing up to the gym on a regular schedule, you're not in danger. You have a job. Go do your job. Build some strength. You're going to be fine.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm not motivated all the time. There's a lot of times when I'm doing my workout and I really don't want to. I want to do something else. I want to be lazy. I want to sit on the couch. I want to do something, go somewhere else. But it's like you build that habit, and like I have to go just like you have to go to work. You wake up in the morning, you're not always motivated to go to work. That's what the workouts are for me. Like I have to do it. Whether I like it or not, I do it.
One of the things that we're going to talk about more on the show, sort of by and large, is working out by sort of stage in life. And in all candor, I came to you because I'm in my 50s and I am starting to realize that maintaining muscle from my youth is harder to do than I want it to be. It used to be sort of effortless to feel strong, and now it's work. Why does it matter so much that guys like me, as we're aging, are paying attention to this stuff?
As we age, we progressively lose the muscle mass and the strength. As you age, of course, you have to look at the hormones. Your testosterone goes down, so it's a lot harder now to build the muscle. And it's a lot easier when you're younger. Mm-hmm. And then once you're younger and you build that muscle, you build that mature muscle, what we call, that will stay with you longer. So as you get older, everything, of course, gets harder, which I'm not saying it's impossible to. You can still do it. But it helps with everything else. I mean, loss of muscle mass is also linked to many chronic diseases. You want to make sure that as you age, you want to focus on not just longevity, but the quality of your life. And that's where the muscle mass comes in play. muscle is our like metabolic currency. Like it's a site for our glucose disposal and storage for all like amino acids and everything that's important. Also, when it comes to the immune system, so it regulates a lot of functions in your body. If you want to avoid all the visits to the doctor,
Yeah.
you want to make sure that you build that muscle mass. I actually tell you the truth. Last time I was sick, it's been like a couple of years since I opened up my place. I don't have time to take sick days. Like I need to be here. I'm like I don't have time. I don't have time to be sick. I'm like I can't think about that.
That is the best tough guy muscle bound thing that I think I've ever heard you say.
That's why I stay at the top of my health. That means I'm going to go work out. I'm going to make sure I eat the right way and focus on nutrition and everything. So literally last time I can't remember when I was sick, I actually had to go to the doctor. It's been since I opened up and it's been 2 years. I've been here every single day.
Yeah. Okay. Well, related to that though, just as a side question, when's the last time you had a cupcake?
I do have my cheat days.
Okay,
cheat
good.
Meals and I do have cravings, and I do give in sometimes. But you have to have a balance. Like if I feel like I'm getting off track, like it's easy for me to kind of flip that switch and be like, no, I'm not going to have any ice cream. I'm not going to have a cupcake. And I tell clients like that's the only difference between me and you. It's not like I don't have cravings. It's not like I don't like ice creams and cupcakes and chocolate and all that stuff. I do enjoy it. From time to time, have a cheeseburger and fries and pizza and all that stuff. But when I know I need to dial in, that's it. Like I can flip that switch, and I'm that disciplined that I can like, no, I'm not going to eat that, and I'm going to do everything I need to do and get back myself on track, and that's it.
That's one of the central things I think I want to talk about in terms of an overall arc on this podcast is what it takes for you to flip that switch and how to transition that mindset to others, because that is to my mind the central degree of success, right? If you can change the way you think about these things. I'll tell you personally, my mom has celiac disease, and she said to me once, she said, once you look at a piece of chocolate cake and you think to yourself, oh, that to me is poison. That thing to me right there, no matter how much I want it, will kill me if I eat a whole bunch of it. I will get so sick. I will have to go to the hospital. Once you flip that switch, your entire world changes, because then you can look at those decisions around nutrition and you can make decisions for results, like you said earlier. And I think that's a really important thing to unpack, how to make those decisions. When you look at, one of the reasons I stuck around with you as a trainer is because of the way you repositioned the way I think about muscle as medicine, right? That was a completely new worldview for me, that it's not just about how it looks, it's about what your muscular system is doing to protect me. That is huge. Can you give me an example besides, yours truly, of clients that have come to you and actually been able to shift their health by focusing on strength first?
Well, yeah, all of them. I mean, I kind of like when I start talking to them, my intention is not really to scare them, but I kind of do want to scare them a little bit. So they realize how important this is. It's not just like, muscle, it's good for you and that's it, but they don't really know quite the reason why. And they probably haven't done any research, so they have no idea about what actually muscle does and what's responsible for what it does to their bodies. So when I tell them what happens when you age and you don't have muscle, all the diseases that you can get, it scares them a little bit. And I don't want to scare them. I kind of want to motivate them. I want to inspire them to actually now focus on the quality of their life, on health, and not just losing weight, because that's why they came in. They want to lose fat and because they went to the doctor's office and they're, getting close to being diabetics. And, they told them they need to exercise and lose fat. So I'm like, okay, let's look at this the other way, a little bit differently. So when I explain to them and what will happen if they don't gain that muscle mass later at the, when they start getting older, it's like, it's scary. It sounds scary. Like you're scaring me. I'm like, well, if you like spending your time at nursing home, then you should go this way.
Give me the top three. Give me the top three things that are going to happen to me if I'm not focusing on this. What scares people the most?
I told them that the loss of muscle mass, it's linked to so many chronic diseases. Kind of studies have suggested that having more muscle mass can actually lower the risk of those and improve their blood pressure and blood circulation and all that stuff. It just enhance their body's ability to use all the glucose efficiently and helping to lower the risk of developing insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes and metabolic syndrome and all these different things. And they just kind of look at me and it's just like, oh my God, it's like, I didn't realize all that stuff that it does. And you kind of explain to them that, once they have that muscle mass, how easier it's going to be for them to actually enjoy the life, not just, from staying away from the nursing homes, but actually be able to have sometimes, some chocolate and cake and ice cream, and it'll be okay.
Build resilience to be able to make those choices.
Yeah, because the muscle is the largest site for the glucose disposal and storage for all your amino acids. So what happens, like if you have that sweet tooth, when you eat something sweet and you swallow sugar, and it goes into if you don't have any muscle, it goes into your bone marrow, actually, and it suppresses it with about 45 minutes, they say. So therefore, your body's ability to produce white blood cells, it shuts down. So your immune system shuts down, right? Now it makes you more susceptible to all the viruses and all the infections. For them, that sounds a little bit scary. I'm like, you get sick and things like that. So they don't understand how everything is connected.
Yeah.
And once I start talking more about that, then they start understanding. Then they start looking at this whole losing weight differently. And then I'm like, it's not your fat. It's the muscle mass that you're struggling with. Once I said, they understand more the importance of the muscle, then they're actually more motivated. And now they're all about resistance training, and they get more excited, and it's more fun then to train them, and then they're more interested, and then they take it a little bit more seriously. Because I've seen people that come in and, I do everybody's measurements, and we measure their skeletal muscle mass and the body fat. And there's a lot of people that look like they're in shape, they're skinnier, and they're very confident. They step on that scale in the machine, and then it says they have a very high body fat percentage, and people get shocked. So I'm like, oh my God, I thought I was in shape. I'm like, just because you look skinnier or smaller doesn't mean you're healthy.
Yeah, that's a terrifying realization. I keep my first measurement right by my desk here. That's right. It's a motivator. And we're going to walk through, I would like to walk through this in a future episode to look at, because the thing that surprised me the most is that the stuff that scared me the most, you didn't care about. And the stuff I wasn't even paying attention to, you were like, we're going to watch that. That's the measurement we're going to watch. So we're going to pull that apart a little bit. What in body composition you care about the most in a coming episode. We're going to talk about our mental and emotional health and how that plays into, our ability to approach these issues. We're going to talk about metabolism, of course. I wonder if we can turn an episode on protein into a drinking game, because I imagine you could get pretty soused after hearing you talk about protein. But this is a show for training myths, debunking training myths, and training for all life stages. And I am very, very excited to be a part of this particular journey with you.
Yeah, I mean, I tell everybody that, muscle mass, it declines with age. So if you're not actively building muscle, you're actively losing it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, when it comes to protein, I can talk for days.
I know.
That's
I
a
know.
whole another. So I get very excited. Like it triggers something in me when you start talking about muscle and the protein, and
Yeah.
they'll hear some stuff that they've never heard about protein, because every time when I have to give presentations about the muscle mass and the protein,
Yeah.
I've heard people say, "Oh, I've never heard anybody say those things about protein. I didn't know,
Why
but
is
I
he?
know it was good and healthy, but I didn't realize how important it was." And it's like, wow.
I didn't realize it could lead to an obsession.
Yeah. It's almost like, oh, my presentation is like they're scaring them. I'm scaring them. They're like, oh my God. It's like, I'm going to die tomorrow. I'm like, no, you're not. You'll be fine. It's just focus on these things. But they're like, but if I don't do it, so I'm like, good. At least I got you thinking about it now more seriously.
Well, and that's the final takeaway. Like when you think about your last meeting with your physician, right? What did you get? 8 minutes for a checkup with a doctor? And did anybody ask you about your muscular health, your skeletal muscle? Probably not.
No,
probably
no one asked. So. I mean, I train a lot of doctors, and I talk to them about nutrition, and they really don't know much nutrition. Sometimes it's weird for me that I have to educate them about nutrition. Yeah. You would think that, the doctors in so many years in school that you would know all this stuff, but they don't. So I'm kind of educating them about, muscle mass, and they know what it does, but like what's going to happen. Sure. And they're aware of it, but they just don't know how to get to that point or how to do it. So it's, interesting. I always have fun with the doctors when I train them, and I kind of watching them.
I would love to. I think we should make that a little objective. Let's bring some doctors in the rotation in this conversation, and hear what they're selling. One of the most interesting sort of eye-opening things in my speaking of health scares, my dad had a quadruple bypass, and the first thing the cardiologist said when he came out of this surgical theater was he looked at me and he said, you gotta get your heart checked and start this regimen, because a lot of what your dad's dealing with is genetic. The first thing he told my dad was, you need to get into some resistance training, right? Mm-hmm. After open heart surgery, that one of the major ways to heal is to start working out, which Dad had never done. Which I think those kinds of connections are fascinating, and I look forward to investigating those together.
Yeah, because to me, it's crazy to think about that. The muscle is, like I said, your body's medicine, and that's the only medicine that you actually have control over. That you don't need the doctor, you don't need the prescription. You can do it, and you can avoid all these visits to the doctors and all these medications that they will give you for all these different things that you can get by not just having the muscle mass. And all you have to do is just focus on gaining the muscle mass, and everything else will just come together. And you won't need all that stuff. You won't need the doctors. You won't need all these prescriptions. It's like you have the control over that one thing, and you still are not taking advantage of it and not doing it. It's just, to me, it blows my mind. How would you not want to?
This is why I need you, man, to remind me when I'm being a jerk to myself. Why would I not? Why would I eat that thing? Just give us a coming attraction. After our table setting episode here, what's the next thing you want to talk about? What do people have to look forward to next week?
Well, I want to talk more about protein intake, so they can, because it's kind of connected to the muscle mass gain. Yeah. And so they can understand better of the nutrition part of how they can gain that muscle mass, and how important role that protein plays and what it does also.
All protein all the time.
Pretty much. Yeah, it sounds crazy, but
no. It's just really good. And it's exactly, I'm telling you, in terms of a teaser, there is understanding the protein cycle it is a life-changing kind of awareness that will change the way you take care of your body.
As I promise, they'll hear things that they have not heard before, and
that will scare you into the gym.
Exactly. There's a lot of stuff that I know, and I still don't hear it on Instagram and Facebook and all this, YouTube videos that you can find. There's a lot of stuff that they don't really talk about. They don't really go into that detailed, but I'm going to go into very details so they can understand better.
That is great. Thank you, everybody, for subscribing to this show. Thank you for joining us today. If you've got questions about training or recovery or how to make strength work in your life, we want to hear them. Head over to the show notes. Just scroll down in the show notes. There will be a link that allows you to send in your question for the coach. And you can get answers right here in an upcoming episode. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and share. This is how we grow stronger together. Thanks for listening to Build for Health, and we will catch you next week for a healthy dose of protein.